KSAT 12. The 6 o'clock news starts right now.
It is among the last thing you want to see on your kids. It is highly contagious and it's going around.
And one local mom says that kids with hand, foot, and mouth disease are allowed to come to school even if they're contagious. And that's coming up on the news at 6. But first,
the Wren Collective was on our radar because of KSAT, because of the reporting at your station that brought to light their role in San Antonio's district attorney's office.
And now a new report suggests that role was even more widespread. So let's go back and begin here. In January of 2024, KSAT released an explosive investigation that revealed hundreds of emails and text messages between the Bexar County District Attorney's Office and an Austin-based criminal justice reform group called the Wren Collective.
So those messages reveal that the Wren Collective worked closely with District Attorney Joe Gonzalez as soon as he took office and also provided influence on cases and policies.
And today, a nonprofit law enforcement organization out of Virginia released its own report on the Wren Collective and found out even more about the organization and its dealings with Gonzalez.
So here's what we know right now. Our Erica Hernandez spoke with the person who wrote that report about what was discovered and also whether Gonzalez has responded.
If not for Bexar County District Attorney's involvement with the Wren Collective, we wouldn't have even known about their existence.
For the past year, Sean Kennedy from the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund in Virginia has been investigating the work of the Wren Collective with prosecutors across the country. The LELDF is an organization that helps defend police officers who they say have been wrongfully accused. Last year, when KSAT's report came out about Bexar County District Attorney Joe Gonzalez's connection with the Wren Collective, the organization took notice.
We started digging deeper and started investigating how many offices that we could find the Wren Collective involved in.
According to Kennedy and his 62-page report, the Wren Collective was working with more than 40 prosecutors across the country, 5 here in Texas, which included Joe Gonzalez.
The Wren Collective's mission is to produce policies for these offices that are hostile to public safety, in our view, and particularly hostile to law enforcement.
They also discovered that Gonzalez was operating official matters on 4 separate emails beside his Bexar County email, something we knew was possible when he sent Jessica Brand this response, asking her to reach out to him on his private account.
It's not necessarily illegal, but it is an attempt to hide their activities from the public. Because if you don't know what you're asking for, you can't ask for it.
Gonzalez has since announced he is not running for re-election next year, but Kennedy says whoever takes over shouldn't follow in the same footsteps as Gonzalez.
There wasn't any transparency. There was influence peddling. There was apparent corruption in the sense that people outside were making decisions on behalf of the district attorney. That can't happen again in Bexar County.
Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
So we reached out to both Jessica Brand of the Wren Collective and the DA's office for comment on that new report. Brand told KSAT in an email, in part, quote, "It is strange that when there are major mental health challenges in law enforcement and a recruitment crisis, this organization wants to focus on Wren," end quote. Gonzalez declined to comment on that report.
Sometimes it takes a while to wrap your mind around certain things, and neighbors in one area are still trying to process the idea that a suspected human smuggler was living right among them. That's 26-year-old Diana Salazar, and she's accused of operating a stash house in the middle of an East Side neighborhood. It
is on Hayes Street near Walters. Bexar County Sheriff's investigators say that they saw Salazar pick up several migrants from a truck stop near I-35 and Fisher Road and then bring them to her home. Salazar was arrested Saturday when investigators raided her home. Some neighbors say they had no idea.
If she was doing it, she was very good at it, because she never stood out or whatever.
I kind of had a feeling, because I'd been watching. There's people were outside all night on the porch.
So along with Salazar, deputies arrested 27-year-old Cassandra Cias. Both women are facing smuggling charges.
They also took custody of 48-year-old Victorino Gonzalez Ramirez, who they say tried to run from them.
Now, in other news, now a 29-year-old man is dead, and now a 21-year-old man is in jail. And Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar says that all of this is over a love triangle. So the man that you see here on your screen is Mason Rodriguez. He's the one who's charged with murder. It all started around 7 o'clock last night at a home on Calle Fincias, that's south of Highway 90 near 211. And that's where Sheriff Salazar says that Rodriguez shot Enrique Perales more than a dozen times. Now, investigators say that Rodriguez then ditched his gun and ran from the scene. He then surrendered to deputies once they arrived at his home. The sheriff says that other people were with Rodriguez during that crime. If you know anything about this case, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office wants you to call them. Their number is 210-335-6000.
James Hunter Schmidt founded the Kerr County Sheriff's Foundation, that agency's fundraising arm, weeks after pleading guilty to 2 felony charges. So records uncovered by KSAT Investigates raise questions about why it took so long for Schmidt to face significant justice, despite repeated run-ins with the law in Kerr County.
What was your role with the Sheriff's Office Foundation?
I don't have one at the moment, so.
No, what was it?
I don't have one.
What was your role?
I'm good, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Tonight on the Night Beat, Sheriff Larry Letha weighs in, and Schmidt learns his fate after his latest felony conviction.
And now we want to give you a live look outside just to show you what the traffic is like. So here is a live look at I-37 at Jones Avenue. You can see one side, traffic is flowing very smoothly, but the other side, which I believe it looks like the ramp there, the left side, the left lanes right there, that's going pretty slowly at this hour.
How much more could property taxes cost for people living in Kerrville? That is a question that we have been keeping a close eye on for weeks now.
And tonight we move to the next update in this discussion as City Council holds its first public hearing on the proposed budget. So we want to give you a live look at the meeting that's taking place right now. Last month, during the budget process, Kerrville City Council members voted to move forward with the highest property tax rate possible without voter approval.
Now, they're able to do this because of the disaster declaration after the Hill Country floods. Now, it's not a done deal yet, though. Our Avery Everett has been following the story since the start and tells us what to expect out of tonight's meeting.
People against raising the property tax rate here in Kerrville have not been quiet over the last 2 months. We've covered protests and public comment for weeks about this discussion. Tonight, there's a public hearing at the City Council meeting to specifically talk about the fiscal year 2026 budget, and that does include the possibility of a property tax raise. So let's talk specifically about what we're expecting tonight. We are expecting public comment to continue this discussion. Now, City Council could choose to end up changing and dropping or lowering this property tax rate, but we're not expecting a finalized decision until the budget is approved. We'll have a full breakdown of what we learned tonight on the Night Beat. Avery Everett, KSAT 12 News.
Tai Chi in the park, pipe cleaner art, maybe swimming lessons. What's going to be cut as San Antonio tries to fill its budget hole?
The city's Parks and Recreation Department offers tens of thousands of classes every year, but nearly 1 out of 3 of those is completely empty. City Hall reporter Garrett Berger tells us how the city plans to shrink those offerings next year.
It was time to dig deep. If I slacked, it was going to be pretty obvious. Because of the 10 people in this interval training class, I was clearly the rookie. Bertha Sanchez, the one in purple kicking my butt, goes to 5 or 6 Parks and Recreation classes a week. Not all classes are this well attended.
Have you ever gone to a Parks and Recs program or class where you're the only one there?
Yes, I have.
Does that happen often?
Yes, sometimes, yes. It was a slam ball class. And I was by myself. It was at Elmendorf Park.
And she's heard of others where no one shows.
Classes far away, like yoga classes, where there's nobody there. The parks that are way out there in the north side or somewhere.
Parks and Rec has more than fitness classes. Last fiscal year, it hosted nearly 79,000 classes. But at 32% of them, no one showed up.
I will point out, I think one of the highest ones was art. And so of the total classes being reduced, the bulk of those are in the community centers, not fitness in the park.
City officials say cutting classes that are led by temporary staff and have 0 participants would save nearly $624,000. A small part of the city's plans to close a nearly $173 million hole in its main operating fund over the next 2 years. But the parks director says that's not the only thing forcing the changes.
I think it's more focused on just being innovative. We're still providing classes focused on quality, not quantity, while at the same time expanding access to our community centers.
And fitness classes like this torture session
that's such a stupid idea.
Are still in demand.
Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
He wears that to work out even when he's not on camera, by the way. After nearly 2 years, we are closer to finding out what could happen with more than a dozen closed campuses in San Antonio ISD. This week, SAISD opened up bids to lease its vacant buildings. They're taking proposals from people or organizations who want to lease those buildings or the property around it. They're open to residential rentals, commercial and land leases. 15 campuses were closed due to low enrollment. The district launched community surveys and property studies to see what type of use was best for those vacant buildings.
And happening right now, a community is gathering to remember one of its beloved teachers. This is Timothy Kitterman. He was very special to the Northeast ISD because he taught American Sign Language over at MacArthur High School. And now there's a memorial service in his honor. And there, right there, is a live look from Grace Point Church on MacArthur View near Nacogdoches and Loop 410. Mr. Kitterman passed away last Thursday on campus at the beginning of the school day. He suffered a medical episode. He was 65 years old.
Some sad news from the local music scene today. Local Tejano artist Ram Herrera says that he's battling stage 4 prostate cancer. The announcement came today in a video that he posted on Facebook, in which Herrera described his diagnosis as scary but treatable. He also urged everyone to get regular screenings. And Ram, we here at KSAT want to wish you well on your road to recovery.
Coming up, this is a contagious virus. It's going around, and your kids could pick it up at school. Still ahead on the news at 6, a local mother is venting her frustrations over a school district's policy on hand, foot, and mouth disease.
And as we head to break, we're going to take a look outside with live cam. How did you like this morning? How'd you like to have that again? Sarah Spivey in for Adam today to talk about what we can expect in the days ahead. Next.
Welcome back. We're going to show you something. So these are sores right here. If these look familiar to you, you've probably seen hand, foot, and mouth disease. You know, this virus causes red blisters. It's also very contagious.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of talk about this lately. Recently, a local mom went on TikTok venting about her school district's policies, saying that kids are allowed to come to school while still contagious. Courtney Friedman checked out the policy at Northeast ISD and asked a doctor what he suggests.
Hand, foot, and mouth is going around really bad in San Antonio. And the school districts, say my children's school, is allowing children to attend school with active blisters.
Dominique West posted this TikTok last week, which has garnered at least 180,000 views. She's concerned about hand, foot, and mouth disease, a viral infection that results in red sores or bumps in different parts of the body.
It is so contagious. And I think that's the biggest reason why I made my video.
We caught up with Dominique, who said her kids at any ISD schools told her there are students with open sores allowed at school.
So I got home and I examined her, and sure enough, she was full blown. She had sores in her mouth already. She had sores everywhere.
We reached out to any ISD about their policy, and sure enough, students with sores are not explicitly barred from coming to school. The district said, "We follow the Department of State Health guidelines for contagious illnesses. They state that a student with hand, foot, and mouth can return to school when they are fever-free. Of course, if the doctor's note for a particular student said they could not return to school until all blisters are healed, we would follow that guidance," end quote. Many other school districts follow the same state guidelines.
Does that concern you?
I think school districts have a very tricky job of trying to balance out when do kids stay home, when do they come back to the school environment. Everybody's really close together, and so there's a lot of risk there. Some skin lesions can, even after they've healed, still be present, so it's a little bit difficult to time it based on skin lesions sometimes.
University Health Infectious Disease Dr. Jason Bowling said that's why his main emphasis is on hand washing.
Especially before eating, before touching their face, make sure that they're doing hand hygiene.
While Dominique wishes the state and school policies were less vague, she's also hoping doctors will write notes urging contagious kids to stay home.
As a mom, I just want to keep our children safe, truly. I just want to keep everybody's children safe.
Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
So Dr. Bowling adds, because this is a virus, there is no medication for it, but usually it lasts about 5 to 7 days.
Those poor babies. Now, however, it is important to take extra precautions if you're pregnant or if you have a weak immune system. Moving ahead, we want to invite you to something special. It's an event on Saturday, September 27th. It's the 12th annual Head for the Cure 5K. It's aimed at raising awareness and also funds for brain cancer research, something very near to our hearts, since it honors our late news director, Jim Boyle.
That race starts at 8 a.m. outside the KSAT studios at Providence High School, right down the road. You can visit ksatcommunity.com and look for the story for all the details. That's where we have a link where you can register. Now, when you do that, use the code CURE. That will save you $7 on your registration fee.
If only that run was taking place this morning.
In the morning,
I have to
right?
say,
It
yes.
was so nice this morning. We got down to 65 degrees, y'all, in San Antonio, at 59 in the Hill Country, in Bernie, and in Comfort. By the way, that 65 is the coolest we've been since May 12th. That's 120 days. And guess what? Even though we're still not going to necessarily be this cool, we will be looking at temperatures in the 60s once again tomorrow, 68 degrees. And then by Thursday morning through the weekend, we kind of settle back into what's average for this time of the year, the low 70s. So pretty nice. What I want to do is I want you to look at your screen here. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at your neighborhood low temperatures tomorrow. So here's the map of San Antonio. Let's go ahead and zoom in. Usually areas across the Hill Country, higher elevation and away from the city center, we'll see a morning low a bit cooler. And sure enough, by tomorrow morning near Bernie, Fair Oaks Ranch, Scenic Oaks, Leon Springs, Timberwood Park, and Bulverde, you can expect a morning low in the low 60s. Now, the city of San Antonio, all of that concrete tends to keep in some of the warmth from the day before. So you can expect temperatures a little bit warmer, but still pleasantly cool, near 70 in downtown San Antonio, upper 60s around 410 here. Leon Valley, JBSA Lackland, SeaWorld area, 1604 right there. And again, outside of the city center, let's take, for example, areas like Gonzales, a little bit more rural. Temperatures are going to be cooler than the city center by about 5 degrees or so. So expect that pleasant morning close to sunrise, which is around 7:15. Sunny skies for us all day tomorrow, and a lot like today, we're quickly going to warm. Afternoon highs right near 94 tomorrow, but the key is we're going to have a dry heat. So starting tomorrow, high temperatures are going to be in the mid 90s, definitely warm, but a dry heat. Low humidity for us, 92 in Kerrville, 95 in Del Rio, 95 in Gonzales, and Beeville, you'll be at 96. Take a look at afternoon humidity. Yes, it's going to be dry tomorrow. Humidity will rise slightly Thursday through the weekend, but still pleasant enough to be dry without much of a heat index value in the afternoons. So not too bad out there. Now looking at clouds and radar, it is fairly quiet across the nation. Notice there's not really much going on out there. We've got high pressure system that's really going to be taking hold. And I've been looking at the data. High means dry. As that high pressure system settles over, likely over the next 7 days, we're really not going to see much rain, not only in Texas, but across a good portion of the United States. This is Monday, September 15th. And then beyond that, there are some indications that we could even be dry here in San Antonio and across a good portion of Texas for the next 2 weeks, potentially. Now, things can change. 2 weeks in the future is a long time for a forecast, but I wanted to mention that there could be some possibility that we could be without rain for the middle of September as well. But at least, again, we're going to have a dry heat, so not too bad with highs in the mid to upper 90s. No triple digits on that map either, and we'll have relatively low humidity, guys.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thanks, Sarah. All right, Mary, we have an all San Antonio matchup, and UTSA, they're looking to bounce back after last weekend.
Yes, San Antonio's two Division I programs going head-to-head. That is a treat for football fans. Yeah, it's potentially a get-right game for UTSA. We'll hear more on that from the Roadrunners coming up. And Victor Wembanyama is personally picking out Spurs fans to be a part of a new group that he's forming. More on that after the break.
They know they disappoint a lot of people, and they're embarrassed and trying to get better. They're competitors. They don't like the way they feel right now.
UTSA is hoping the comeback is greater than the setback starting this Saturday against UIW in Big Board Sports. Well, the UTSA football team is getting flashbacks to last season, where the program started 2-4 before salvaging a winning record when the season was all said and done. Now, fresh off of a loss to their rivals up by 35, Texas State, the Roadrunners are hoping a date with FCS powerhouse UIW is well-timed for a bounce-back game. However, with the Cardinals coming off of a bye week and morale not at its highest for the Roadrunners, UTSA isn't taking preps for Incarnate Word lightly.
Anything in life, good, bad, whatever it is, I think we moved on from that. We really showed that today at practice, a lot of energy. So, like you said, those times definitely helped for us, but we're on a UIW this week and ready for them.
It's not bad. Everybody's just trying to move on, just trying to get their minds off Texas State, just move on to UIW. I see what they're saying, but I just don't really just pay attention to that. I just know that as a team, we got work to do. So I just focus on us as a team.
Now, another slow start to the season has people asking, what is it about September for the Roadrunners? The way Trailer sees it, that's just what happens when you schedule out of conference tough.
Texas State played very well, and A&M played very well. We played two really good football teams. We don't duck smoke. We look for the smoke. And when you play really good teams, a lot of things get exposed. And when you play bad teams, a lot of things don't get exposed. And we've not played a bad team, and we're fixed to play another really good one this Saturday.
Neither team ducking the smoke this Saturday. Kickoff is at 2:30 inside of the Alamo Dome. And we'll have more on this matchup, plus a live look at the joint pep rally that's happening tonight at 7 o'clock. That's all coming up on KSAT Sports Now.
It's a project that I've had for a long time, an idea. It's been an idea and now it's a project, and I'm very excited for it to just be more than something up there in the head, something real. If this group of ultras reaches its full potential, I have no doubt that it's going to help us win games in the future for sure.
Well, Victor Wembanyama is looking to form a group made up of the, quote, loudest and proudest San Antonio Spurs fans. His idea was inspired by European soccer ultras like PSG, which is his favorite team, and he hopes it'll add to the Spurs home court advantage. There will be tryouts for this Sunday. You can RSVP at spurs.com/supporter. And hey, the NFL its punishment for Eagles D tackle Jalen Carter after he spit on Dak Prescott. 1-game check and a 1-game suspension. That's worth $57,222, which is what Carter makes in 1 game. Pretty nice paycheck there.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to see the loudest and proudest Spurs fans auditions.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
I hope we'll be there for it.
I hope we go.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure, Mary. Thank you.
A competition. All right.
Our KSAT Q&A with Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones is up next.
Welcome back, my friends, and time now for our KSAT Q&A. Today, we are joined by San Antonio Mayor Gina Ortiz-Jones. Mayor Jones, thank you so much for
Hi, ladies. Hello. Thanks for being here. We have lots to cover with you, as always, so let's get to it. I want to start with kind of what's been some council drama over the last couple of weeks. Tensions over the way that council members go about filing requests for their proposals. You wanted to change the way that was done. You all held a meeting about that. It seemed like those ideas, you kind of backed off of them, but then it came to a head last week with this pet abandonment proposal from council members. Why was that an issue that you felt like needed to be pulled? And is there that ongoing tension over the way council members continue to propose their ideas?
Yeah, so as I shared with my colleagues in an August 8th memo, I think it is really important that that we reflect the will of this council. And so those ideas that unfortunately were not fully actioned in the previous council, if there's continued interest in moving those forward, then we just have to get the support of those members of this council. I think that's only respectful, and we can again consider the work that has already been done on those. I think the CCR that you are talking about was actually already going to. So it was pulled. I pulled it in conversation with the staff staff based on some of the work that, based on a miscommunication with the staff. My understanding is it has actually also been pulled from this week. The councilwoman from District 7 has pulled that back herself. We have received a lot of feedback from those animal rights activists that are very concerned about how that CCR in particular would be implemented. In speaking with the staff, they shared that abandonment policies like that are really difficult to enforce, in part because you got to catch somebody doing it, which is always very tricky. So I think again we've got to do due diligence. I think the animal rights activists, in particular, No Kill San Antonio, was very concerned that this CCR, as proposed by the District 7 councilwoman, could in fact be counterproductive, because now there could, without a clear definition of abandonment and some of those, and who it would apply to and who it wouldn't, you could actually then, those that are catching animals and spaying and neutering them and then releasing them into our community, they could actually fall under this policy and then be fined. So I think due diligence is always very important. Let's understand what it's trying to do. Let's make sure we hear from the community and the experts like the woman who leads No Kill San Antonio to ensure this policy is really reflective of the community's needs.
So as you alluded to, there are things that were already in the works, processes that had already begun before this current council was seated. So are you suggesting that you want to see any council consideration request, a proposal, go back to square one, essentially, if it had already been in the works before this council got there?
So as I explained, as with any legislative body, this is the case in Congress, this is the case with the State House, any policy-making body, if something didn't get finalized by the end of that term, then that has to be reconsidered by the new members of the current body. Right? And that is the same here. As I just shared, as I have shared numerous times with my colleagues, again, getting the signatures needed. If you have, if some members are from the previous council that are still serving and they still support it, great. Now, if there are 1 or 2 members or 3 members or more that are no longer on the council, then please seek the support of a current serving member of this council. I think, again, that just reflects and respects the newly elected members, allows them to look at the body of work. And when it comes to governance committee, we will take into account where that CCR left off in the previous process. But I think the first step is ensuring that that CCR still has the support of this council. And you know what, though? If that CCR is not able to get the support from this council, then that reflects the will of this council. Plain and simple.
So you're talking a lot about the policy side of it, which maybe a lot of people aren't necessarily privy to because we don't exactly know, the minute, the granular details of how city government works. But then there's the political part of it, which looks like, frankly, you guys don't really get along.
Well, I mean, look, I think this is about due diligence. I mean, I think the example of this abandonment policy, the fact that it was put on the agenda was not sufficient due diligence. Then the community chimes in and says, hey, that thing that you're going to vote on is counterproductive. We don't need that. So let's do the due diligence. Let's understand what it's trying to achieve. Let's make sure we have sufficient community input, and then we can move forward smartly. But I think what happened with this CCR in particular is exactly what we need to avoid, which is why we shouldn't be rushing them through the process. We need to look at these with fresh eyes, especially with exactly in this CCR, what was originally proposed, which was a bird sanctuary, was actually not what is in the final idea, the final CCR. It's actually quite different. So again, not pushing these through, making sure we have a full look, bringing in people like the No Kill San Antonio experts on these things, so we know what could have, the impact of these things, and we're not again having to pull things back and forth like we're having to do with this CCR, unfortunately.
Would you say you guys have a good working relationship, though?
I think we all bring our different experiences, life experiences, to this. I think, I can understand some folks have worked on these issues, and I want to work on them as well. I want to make sure, though, that we are sufficiently respecting the newly elected members and making sure that their thoughts and they have the opportunity to review these. And again, if there are former members on these things, just get the support of a current serving member and let's move forward. Very simple process.
I want to ask you about another topic, this one related to flooding. You talked about the last time you were with us on the Q&A about going around town and looking at various sites where flooding mitigation work needs to be done.
Right.
You've at least started that tour that we're aware of. What have you gone out to these sites and learned so far?
Yeah, well, I was thankful. So as mentioned, there are 14 sites in San Antonio that are on the state's flood mitigation plan, right? And as currently scoped, now understand some of those could be modified based on some of those were assessed or valued in 2023. The current value, the current scope of those is $411 million. And for me, it was important. Again, this is top of mind. Every engagement I have, major engagement I have with a big group of our neighbors, flooding comes up, right? And so I really wanted to understand where these projects, work with the, listen from the to the staff firsthand and understand, what's the state of these things, how much money has been invested. Some of them are actually further along than others, but the intent of all of them, though, is to make sure that we are minimizing any risks and taking structures, largely homes, out of the floodplain. This also comes up, I just had a town hall in District 3 at the Lions Center, and there was a woman there that talked about the constant flooding on her sidewalk as a result of some work that had been done there. 18-wheelers were on the street, they messed up the road, and now it was flooding her sidewalk every time there was heavy rain. And she said she'd been talking about it for quite a while, and things like that, not only are they a nuisance, they're frustrating, but they also affect your property value. Right? And that was her concern as well. So that Sunday, if you all remember, there were pretty heavy rains. So after Mass, I took the time, because that home was like right around the corner from my church, and I went to go see for myself. By that time, it had stopped raining, but what she was talking about was exactly right. The neighbors came out as they saw me looking around, and were thankful that I was there. And they, again, explained kind of their own frustration with having reported that problem. So I had my team work with the staff, and I'm thankful that there's a way ahead on that to make sure that sidewalk, but it's a public safety issue, it's a property value issue, and it's also just hey, I've raised this issue with you all and I haven't heard back. What's going on? So I'm thankful that people take the time to come to the town halls, raise those issues, because that is one of hundreds of projects like that, I'm sure, in our community.
So I wanted to ask you finally about Proposition B. As you know, in less than 2 months, voters in the county are going to decide how they stand and whether they think that money from hotel stays and car rentals are going to go towards funding the county's portion of Project Marvel. Where do you stand on Proposition B? Do you support it, yes or no?
I think what is important, if you have you read the text of Proposition B?
Not the whole thing.
Well, you could read it several times and you will never find in that text that the cost is $311 million. I think we owe it to voters, regardless of where I am personally on it as an individual voter here in San Antonio. I think it's just really important that folks, when they go into the ballot box, they know what they're voting on. I was very surprised that ballot language doesn't even state the number.
But you know the number.
I do. Well,
you know 311.
Everybody should know the number.
We have been talking about 311, and ballot language, it's always written in ballotese, right? Like, it's not easy to understand.
But
knowing what you know, do you have a stance on it, whether you support it or not?
I believe we owe it to voters to inform them as much as possible on what they are voting on. I was very surprised because, again, as a city voter, we're on the hook for $800 million, right? 489 from the city and 311 from the county. So at least knowing 311 on the county ballot is important. Look, I think people should make up their own minds on how they feel about this investment in their community. We all have different kind of hopes and dreams and aspirations, and kind of where this falls in people's own judgment. And again, this comes up. One of the real, pushbacks from some folks in the D3 town hall was, you all seem to be moving very quickly on the downtown redevelopment. Meanwhile, right, the flooding on my sidewalk I've been asking about for years. So I think what I'm most concerned about as the chief elected officer in the city is making sure that we are being clear to folks about what is going to happen, what they're voting on, and giving them some assurance about how we're balancing revitalizing downtown with meeting the needs in people's neighborhoods.
Everybody's got an opinion. Do you think that publicly you would take a stand one way or the other? Publicly.
People have the opportunity. People should vote on this, again, based on what they think is in the best interest of themselves and their city.
It's important for people to know what the mayor thinks.
If I feel like sharing that, I will do so.
Okay. We'll have you back to talk about it. How about that?
Thank you, ladies.
Mayor, we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Thank
We'll
you.
be right back.
So you spoke. Your nominations for the SA Picks 2025 contest, they're in. You chose San Antonio's top businesses, so scan that QR code to see the finalists. But we're also telling you this because we want you to vote. Put in your vote by September 20th. You can vote for in each category once per day. That's more than 22,000 votes so far, and then we're going to announce the winners later this month.
I think we all won this morning with those temperatures.
Oh, yeah.
Outside. That felt so nice. It was wonderful. So let's do it again.
Yeah.
How about that? Sarah Spivey's got your forecast after the break.
Well, welcome back. It was a beautiful day around San Antonio. We got down to 65 degrees, but we were still able to get up to 90 for the high today, which is cooler than average, but that is an impressive temperature jump by some 25 degrees or so. And the reason for that is because we have dry air in place. Now, tonight's going to be a beautiful evening, so find some time to maybe sit out on the porch. We're going to see temperatures fall into the 70s pretty quickly here with low humidity. As for our temperatures tomorrow morning, a little bit warmer in the morning, but still comfortably cool. 68 in San Antonio. It'll be 62 in Boerne, 64 in Tarpley, 63 in Kerrville, 66 in New Braunfels and Seguin, and that'll happen close to sunrise. So right around 7:15 is when it's going to be the coolest. As we take a look ahead for the rest of the day tomorrow, 78 by 10, totally sunny, 86 around the lunch hour, and then a high temperature of 94. So just a few degrees warmer than today, but again, low humidity. That's the key. I do want to mention too that tomorrow is an ozone action day, which basically just means that for a few hours in the afternoon, ozone could be elevated. And if you're somebody who has a respiratory illness, that's when you should use some caution with your time outdoors. Otherwise, things shouldn't be too bad. Air quality should be just okay. As we take a look at clouds and radar across the nation, high pressure system is going to take hold in the coming days, which means we're going to stay dry this week. And as that high settles over, temperatures are going to climb. We'll be looking at highs in the mid to upper 90s throughout the rest of the week and into the weekend, with again little to no chance for rain. But the thing I want to focus on for you tomorrow, make sure you tune into GMSA at 9 because Science with Sarah is back, baby. And tomorrow we are making oobleck slime and studying mixtures and solutions. So make sure to tune in tomorrow, GMSA at 9. We'll be live at an elementary school with a bunch of 5th graders excited to learn some science, and I'll have my little experiment glasses on. So tune in to Science with Sarah tomorrow in GMSA, and I hope you enjoy the nice and comfortable evening.
Welcome back, my friend. So if you're a Roadrunner fan, boy, are you keeping your fingers crossed. It's really about keeping the team's spirits up.
Yeah, that's a big San Antonio matchup. We're talking about it with Mary Rominger ahead of KSAT Sports Now at 7. Hey, Mary.
Hey guys, yeah, KSAT Sports Now coming up at 7 o'clock on our streaming platforms. And what a treat that we get week 3 of the college football season between UIW and UTSA, the hometown showdown. We're going to take a deep dive into that matchup coming up on KSAT Sports Now. We will also bring you a live look at the pep rally that's happening right now, a joint pep rally between both programs that's happening at the Pearl. So that'll be fun. We also are breaking down what happened last week, the other hometown showdown between the UIW women's soccer team and UTSA. The coaches also talked to us about why that matchup in particular means much more than just a game. Also, we're talking big game coverage, updating you on the San Antonio Missions, who are nearing the end of their season. And you have to tune in for this. We have a new segment, one that our producer Daniel Villanueva is breaking down, or that some of the top headlines, that happen, and it will have us talking about chicken nuggets. So that's all coming up at 7 o'clock on our streaming platforms on KSAT Sports Now. We'll be right back.
It's dinner time, so why not bring this up? How would you like to try food from 20 top restaurants from across Texas? These are meals that are prepared by Michelin and James Beard Award-winning chefs. We're talking about the 2nd annual Texas Eats Food Festival. It's coming up. Scan the QR code if you want to buy tickets. The event is happening September 20th at the Boeing Techport Center, and a portion of the proceeds will benefit the Community Foundation of the Texas Hill Country.
Hey there, I'm Patty Santos here out with the Texas Parks and Wildlife crew. That is a crew that is training right now on rescue operations. This is the same crew that was involved in rescue operations in Kirk County on July 4th. You're going to get to meet them tomorrow on GMSA.
Here's a look at what is coming up tonight on ABC's Prime Time. You got a binge opportunity, 3 hours of high potential, followed by the Night Beat at 10.
Okay, now we want to give you a live look outside at traffic. This right here, there you go. It's I-37 at Jones Avenue. Obviously much better than it was when we showed it to you about 40 minutes ago. So that's good.
Yeah.
Nice, smooth traffic.
Evening smooth sailing.